Today I'm going to teach you a very important mindset when it comes to business. And if I knew this mindset a year ago, I would have saved probably about 500 or $700,000 so far, and I'd be an extra 150,000 a month than I am right now. But this will also be relevant to you if you're still trying to make your first 10K a month. The mindset is finish the bridge. So let me tell you first of all how I learned this mindset, how it was relevant to me, and then I'll reflect it back onto where I think you are in business. So last year, I blew up on this website called School. I was the number one guy on there, and I was making about $150,000, $200,000 a month. I got so good at it that I got invited to Vegas. I won this business event by Alex Hormozi. You probably know who that is. I got first place in this competition. And I kept on growing from there. So I had this program called Adonis School, and it got up to 2,000 members. So every month it kept on going up. It was like 1,000, 1,200, 1,300. Each person was paying me $129 a month. So if you've got 1,000 people, that's $129,000 I was making. It goes up to 2,000. So we celebrate 2,000. The CEO of the website, that school, he comments on it and everything. Congratulations on 2,000. So that's the equivalent of 200 and almost $260,000 we get to a month. We never get to celebrate 2,100 members. We went from 1,000 to 2,000 in the space of a couple of months. And with every milestone, I would write a post in the community 1.7K guys, congratulations. 1.8K guys, 1.9K, 2,000 members, whoa, amazing. I never got to write one for 2,100 because in that business model, there's something called churn, which is basically that a certain percentage of people will unsubscribe. Every membership, software, community, whatever, anything that's a membership with a monthly recurring fee has a churn percentage because people don't stay up forever. Of course, people are going to unsubscribe if they're getting charged every month. And ours was really high. It was 35, 38%. I just didn't really know how to lower it. We tried a few things in those earlier days. Nothing really worked. We even hired a couple of guys. Nothing moved it. So I just kind of decided, I was like, nah, nothing's even changing it. We'll just try and get as many sales as possible to counteract it. The problem is, we're getting into math and stuff now, so I'll try and be brief with this. But the problem is, just by how the math works, if you have 38% of your base leaving per month, when you have such a high member count, that becomes terribly hard to counteract with new sales. For example, if you've got 100 people in your paid community and they pay you every month and 38% churn, that means that after 1 month, you'll lose 38 people. So you need to sell to 38 new people to keep it equal. We were managing that just fine for a good few months during this period. But imagine once we got to 2,000 with a 38% churn, that means that almost 800 people would leave per month. So we would need to sell 800 just to maintain. After we hit 2,000, we only sold, I think, about 750 or so the next month because it went down to about 1,950. And it kept on going down and down and down and down from that because you've got to figure out how to fucking counteract churn, right? So it's like this invisible beast where a certain percentage of your people in a monthly recurring program will leave. I know that sounds super complex. I'll relate this to your stage in business in a second, right? But basically I had this program where every month people would leave, which is just the nature of a monthly subscription. People cancel a monthly subscription. But I didn't know how to reduce churn. I kept on trying it every now and then. I'd see the numbers go down and I'd wake up, on those early mornings thinking, okay, let's lower churn. I'd try a few random things, nothing worked, whatever. And it's like, oh, fuck this. There's no way to lower churn. I've tried it. Everything I tried, basically nothing worked. And I was like, okay, you just can't lower churn, whatever. And I was trying to sell as much as possible to counteract it, but then there's only so much you can sell to your audience up until you've kind of tapped out all the really warm audience that are willing to buy. So it got to this point where the number started to decrease like crazy. We were on 2,000. Just a few months later, we're on 1.6K, 1.5K, 1.2. It keeps going down. I keep making stupid decisions. It's like you're grasping for salvation, trying to figure it out. And it's only once it kind of stabilized, we lost 1,000, 1,200, 1,300 members. We've got 700. It was only around there around 600 people when I think it was about when we had about 600, that I watched the video from Alex Hamosi. So he's like this guy who promotes the website that I'm on, and he was the one who did that business competition that I came first place in. And he spoke of this mindset where he said, when you're solving problems in a business, it's kind of like building a bridge. And he said the problem is a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll make progress in the bridge, but they never finish the bridge because they just kind of get demotivated that like they haven't seen the results just yet. And he goes on to explain like how, this happens in businesses, and how it related to me was, I can see the problem is churn, and that's the bridge I'm trying to build, is like, okay, lowering churn. I'll look into it, I'll maybe read a book on it, speak to a few people, try a few things, and then I'll just stop and I'll give up. I never finished the bridge. I never just stayed on that fucking topic up until I actually got the result. I heard this mindset where basically it means like, don't fucking leave like the sort of focus, the priority, until you've got the result. Even if right now you see no progress, fix it. So for example, let's say for me, it was lowering churn. For you, if you're stuck at like 0 views on YouTube and you've tried to fix it, you watched a couple of videos, then you're like, oh, whatever, I'll just focus on something else. That's it. If, for example, you've noticed like your CTR, your click-through rate on YouTube, super low. You had a little season, like little maybe few days of looking into it, researching it, but then you basically couldn't like increase it. So you're like, okay, fuck it, I'll just focus on something else. It's like you made most of the progress, most of the effort in looking into it, researching it, and you were just so close to finishing the bridge, but you didn't, and then you've just looked at something else and the bridge basically collapses. And the next time you look at the same thing, like the click-through rate on your YouTube videos, you have to start the bridge over again. So for me, the bridge, or connecting the bridge to the land of low churn, and I just kept on making, like looking into it, trying it, but then I just wouldn't finish the bridge. I watched that video explaining this mindset, and I thought to myself, okay, fucking finish the bridge. I literally wrote it out on paper, like this stuff all around me, wrote it out, finish the bridge, lower churn, lower churn, lower churn. I stopped myself from doing any other task in business, including recording videos and anything else. And I said, the only thing you can do in your work hours is figure out how to lower churn. If you have to read 5 fucking books for it, go ahead. If you have to the only YouTube videos you can watch are about churn. I just obsessed over it. And then guess what? Effortlessly, I got a few ideas, implemented them, and started to notice the churn going down for the first time ever. I still remember it to this day because it was 38%. It didn't even like change, even though we lost so many people. It actually still stayed at about 38%, even though like the proportion of people is different, whatever. But it was 38% at a time when we had about like 620 members. I made one change straight away, which was that I reduced some of the bloat, the overwhelm that was in my program. I realized there was just a ton of stuff there that was kind of old, or maybe it was unnecessary, and it was just too confusing for a new person to think like there's just so much random pieces in here. So I removed some of them, even with the fear of thinking like, oh, maybe someone's going to be pissed off if I've removed something that was inside. And instantly, within a few days, the churn went from 38 to 37 to 36. And I was like, oh shit, like I'd never seen it go down from an action of mine. And then it stagnated at 33%. So it went down by about 5% when I implemented just one thing. But that was enough for me to get like the positive reinforcement to be like, okay, sweet. I actually now see that, there's progress is possible on this. I implemented a few other things, which maybe I'll make a different video about soon if there's anyone who wants me to talk about churn in a community. And now the churn is just under 15%. So it went from just under 40, it went from 38 to it's 14.9 right now. I thought one of the reasons might be that, so many people had left, so churn would naturally go down, because if so many people have left, you've generally got a higher percentage of your more committed members. But the churn was still like 38%, even when the number was super low, like 650, 620. So these changes were made because of these actions that I took, not because the number of people inside of the community was going down. Like as the number of people was going down, the churn stayed roughly 38, 39%. It was only when I took action on it, I started to see it go down. I finished the bridge. It went from 38 to 14.9, what it is today, which is a very healthy churn rate to be at. So if I just did this, and by the way, this took me like I think about 4 or 5 days of full-time focus. I wasn't allowed to do anything other than lower churn. I wasn't allowed to read anything else. I could just read books on churn, membership, subscription, renewals, whatever. I could only watch videos about it. I could only speak to ChatGPT about it, whatever. I think it was about 4 or 5 days to start seeing some results. If I did that last year when we hit 2,000 members, we might have gotten up to 2.2, 2.3, 2.5, 3K members. I might be on $400,000, $500,000 a month right now. Instead, I went from about $260,000 a month to about $60,000 a month. So I got hit hard with that. Imagine I was making $200,000 a month more. I was making about 260K a month at the peak month if I was able to maintain that. And I only make about 60K a month right now. 60K a month is still fucking awesome, but it's like, I feel fucking embarrassed that it's like dropped so much just because I procrastinated lowering churn for like a year straight. I mean, I tried a bunch of times. I even hired people for it, but nothing made a dent, and so I quit. So the lesson for you is finish the bridge. Let's say there's something in business that you realize you want to make progress in, like you want to get more views or you want to increase your retention, whatever, on your YouTube videos. And so you look into it a little bit, you notice, okay, this feels like a constraint. The retention of my YouTube videos aren't so much. I'm not getting so many views. And you try and improve it a little bit. But then the next time you post and you notice the retention is basically the same, you're like, oh, whatever. It's like, you can't even really increase it anyway. It's like, there's no point. I'll just focus on something else that I feel better at. That's you making a little bit of progress on the bridge. Like you started looking into it, you started researching it, but then you just let the bridge collapse because you're like, oh, no, you can't make progress in this. Like it hasn't worked. How to operationalize finishing the bridge is to do exactly what I did. Is number one, identify what feels like the constraint in the business, like what you feel like you have to work on. So for me, it was churn. For you, it might be the amount of people who are seeing your YouTube videos, or maybe it might be the amount of people who are clicking on the link in your YouTube bio to go over to a sales page. We've identified what the constraint is. Then enter a little season, maybe about a week, where you can do nothing other than the thing, like to figure out the problem. So if, for example, the problem for me was lower churn, or if the problem for you is like increase retention or increase click-through rates, you can do nothing other than just that kind of work. That means that for me, for example, that week, I didn't record any videos. The reason why I didn't do that was because I knew that if I start recording some videos and I do this thing and this thing, then my attention's just going to be dispersed. You will make so much more progress when you say to yourself, I'm not allowed to do anything other than just work on this one problem. So practically what that looks like is I'd wake up and straight away I'd go and like implement something that I learned you could do. Or if I didn't know how to improve the problem, I would spend time learning about it. So I'd go and read multiple books on it. Only videos you're allowed to watch are on that very specific problem. Even right now, let's say like if you're bored or you got your food ready and you want to watch some comfortable YouTube videos, no, you're not allowed. The only YouTube videos you can watch are about the specific problem. Let's say you just keep searching how to increase CTR. You watch all those videos. Doesn't fucking matter. You just watch all those videos. No entertainment content. You watch that at fucking nighttime. Books, you only read the books on that. Do you see how autistic we're getting? But it will make your mind so obsessed over the topic. Like let me tell you another example. One of the earlier times I tried to reduce churn for my business, I read a book on it. The book that everyone would recommend is called Retention Point. And it was a pretty shitty book. I don't know why so many people recommended it. There was like very little practical applications in it. And like, I didn't find much value in it. My churn didn't decrease. So I concluded like, oh yeah, like reading books for this is not really gonna work. But when I finally made it work and solve the problem, it was because I ended up reading, I think, another 3 books past that point, plus a ton of YouTube videos on the same topic. The point of finishing the bridge is to not just like learn from like one Mr. Beast podcast about the importance of CTR. Go and watch every fucking video. Like when you search like CTR or increase CTR, click open on the tab and like watch every video on that list with intent, with ideas, and then like have like a note page on your computer which has like all the action steps that you can try, which is like, okay, this one, this type of thumbnail, split testing, run a poll to see which one people said they'd click on, and this idea and this idea. So you try like 20, 30 different things. That's the way that you finish the bridge. So practically, this is what I want you to do. Step one, identify what feels like the constraint in your business right now. What's stopping you from making money? If you're making no money at all, what's stopping you is the fact that you don't have a product to sell. There's no way for someone to send you money right now. If you do have a product to sell, then what's stopping you is that you haven't sent enough people to that product just yet. So the constraint is traffic. What we want is a problem identified. Like, for example, we're not getting enough views from the right kind of people. We're not getting enough people who click on the link and they land on our sales page, like the amount of sales page visitors. Then go spend a week, a sacred week, where you're allowed to do nothing other than just research and try random action steps on that problem. That means you wake up, and if you've got an idea to implement, go ahead and implement it. But if you don't, you'll just have to read books on it and watch YouTube videos. Simple as that. That's what you do full time. You're not allowed to record YouTube videos anymore. It doesn't fucking matter about your upload schedule, whatever. Just let some days run by. The significance of like not recording content, even though usually you have like a schedule, I think that really helped me during this moment, because it'd be easy for you to say like, oh yeah, sure, it sounds good, Hamza, but like I'm still going to record a few videos to maintain my schedule. I purposefully didn't do that and let my usual upload schedule kind of fall down, because I knew the significance of that would really make me take this seriously, to think, okay, I should have posted a video today. I haven't because of this problem. It added a lot more significance to think like, yeah, like I'm in this season where I'm really trying to focus on churn. So I would recommend the same thing to you. And this goes for the content you consume. Any work tasks, you're not allowed to do them. If you've got some call, reschedule it, whatever. You are literally only allowed to look into this problem. Research it, get some ideas, ask ChatGPT, and then go ahead, implement them, see what things actually work. If you do this for literally 4 or 5 days, here's the beauty of this, right? If you do nothing but try and solve the problem that you're thinking of for about 4 to 7 days, you'll solve it and you'll crack it and you'll go on to the next problem. But if you don't have this period and you don't finish the bridge like most people, you kind of look into it a little bit, try one thing, it doesn't work, and then you basically forget the problem exists. You'll still have the problem 6 months from now. Just as I did. I had the problem of churn in early 2024. I only solved it, I think it was December. For like 8 months, 10 months, it ripped through my business. And I literally procrastinated for about 10 months. And I lost so much money because of that. I recommend that you don't do the same mistake as me. As soon as you identify that there's some problem that you need to fix, just go spend a week like an autist, like you've locked yourself away in your room with this, like you're battling this idea like, oh yeah, like retention. You're like writing it on fucking papers, writing it up on your wall. Retention, the only thing you're allowed to do is just think about retention, focus and fucking meditate retention, journal about retention. And I'm telling you, I know it sounds weird, but like I'm telling you, just 1 week of doing that for most business problems and you will actually solve it, because you'll go and implement genuinely 100 times more random things than you will on like the one random time you try it, but then you're like, it doesn't work, so I'm just going to give up on it. That's the mindset of finishing the bridge. If I watched this video a year ago, I probably would have saved about 500K, maybe even more, probably more than that, like $1 million maybe by now. So I hope that someone's watching this where that just helped them. You can discuss this along with everything else when it comes to being an entrepreneur, making your first 10K a month for free inside of the top community. Just go there right now. And then the second link underneath this video is the paid program if you want my team's help on just getting you to your first 10K. You can go click that link. Goodbye.